Hare Krishna. Today we will discuss mantra 15 and 16 of the Shir Upanishad. That section 15 to 18 are prayers to Ishvara to reveal himself, and this mantra 15 will establish how Bhagavan is the highest manifestation of the Absolute Truth. Om Ajnana Timandasya Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timandasya Jnanasana Shlakya Sakshvan Militam Yena Tasmai Gurave Namah. Today we will discuss mantra 15 and mantra 16 and maybe 17. That the section from 15 to 18 are prayers to Ishvara to reveal himself. And in this mantra 15, which has been quoted by Srila Prabhupada many times in his books, establishes how Bhagavan is the highest manifestation of the Absolute Truth. Om Ajnana Timandasya Jnanasana Shlakya Sakshvan Militam Yena Tasmai Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mantra 15. Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Petam Mukham Tatvam Pushan Apavrino Satya Dharmaya Dristaye. Hiranmayena, by golden effulgence. Patrena, by dazzling covering. Satyasya, of the Supreme Truth. Apitam, covered. Mukham, the face. That covering. Tvam, yourself. Pusan, O sustainer. Apavrinu, kindly remove. Satya, pure. Dharmaya, unto the devotee. Tristaye, for exhibiting. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So, I will now share the PowerPoint of 15. How Bhagavan is the highest manifestation of the Absolute Truth, of the Absolute. So, here we have again the overview of the Shir Upanishad, the 18 mantras, and we are in the last section of Shir Upanishad, and there are prayers. It's an appeal to the Supreme Reality for help. So, now here in this last section, there is another factor, which is mercy. We offer our worship and we receive Krishna's mercy. Our endeavor is cultivating knowledge of Ishvara and worship in Ishvara. And then there are prayers to Ishvara to reveal himself. So we have here these last 4 verses are in 2 parts. Verses 15 and 16. 15 and 16. It's an appeal to the Lord, to take one beyond Brahman to Bhagavan. So when we perceive the Supreme Person, we know that he is supremely merciful, and therefore pray to him to remove all obstacles. These are the last two verses. So here, mantra 15 is a prayer for mercy to the Lord, to behold his beautiful form. I repeat the verse again. Hiranmayena patrana sasya jya pitam mukam tatvam pushan apavrinu satya dharmaya tristaye. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So this verse shows the personal aspect of the Absolute. That personal aspect of the Absolute is a higher reality than impersonal Brahman. No, the dazzling effulgence is not the supreme reality. It is the personal form having a face. So here we have an overview of mantra 15. So normally we refer the word Pushan to one who provides light, air, etc. Srila Prabhupada takes it deeper. He makes the point that Krishna is the source of Paramatma and Brahman. So that's the point Srila Prabhupada makes, and also this mantra. Bhagavan is the ultimate revelation. Srila Prabhupada describes how Bhagavan is the ultimate revelation of everything. Sankhya and Yoga is slightly related, but they are different. Sankhya refers to counting. In Sankhya, the spiritual seeker starts analyzing the world around and starts thinking. What is the material world made out? And he's asking that what is the source of this? He moves to the fundamental elements. We see a puri. A puri is made of atta and oil. If atta or oil comes before us, we don't want to eat it. But when it is cooked together, then it becomes attracted. If we go back to the ingredients, then we will not become so attracted to the atta and the oil. So the seeker tries to look beyond. There is a variety of elements, earth, water, fire, but if we look deeper, then we become detached from the looking appearance. So atheistic Sankhya, Prabhupada makes that, he points to that. Atheistic Sankhya is not authorized. The authorized Kapila is devotee Kapila, from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. When Sankhya rises further, then we go seeking the spiritual beyond the material. And then one goes to Jnana. Jnana, by reasoning, one goes beyond matter and comes to spirit. then one realizes the Absolute Truth to be eternal spirit. One is realized in the Satchitananda aspect of the Absolute Truth. So when a person or a seeker seeks only the Sat aspect of the Absolute Truth, then he sees the Absolute Truth as Brahman, only the Sat aspect. Later, when one sees that the absolute Truth controls material nature, then one sees Satchit or the Paramatma aspect. When one sees a puri and there is the perception of fragrance and sight, the taste is the Bhagavan aspect. On Jnana, in the Jnana aspect, one sees the Absolute Truth without potencies. When we use the word pure consciousness, we mean that this is consciousness without lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and so on. Pure. But the impersonalists mean with pure consciousness that there is only consciousness. We are the observer and there is the act of observation. There is subject, relation, and object. The stream of consciousness flows from the subject to the object. For the impersonalist, there is no subject or object. There is only pure consciousness. Difficult to understand, it's abstract. So consciousness alone does not explain where illusion is coming from. If there is no subject or object of consciousness, then there is nothing to be conscious of. It is only an abstract visualization. When there is an object and subject, then there is a flow of consciousness. Flow of consciousness means action, otherwise there is no action. So Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan is one way of analyzing. Through the path of Jnana, one can come to Brahman realization. But through the path of yoga, one can come to Paramatma realization. With Jnana, one gains an understanding of the spiritual, but cannot realize or taste it. The Paramatma is the governing point principle and overseer. That's in Bhagavad Gita, of course, 13:23. Uppadastanamantacha Bharta Bhokta Maishvara Parametmitisapyukto Desmim Purusha Para. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the Supreme Proprietor, who exists as overseer and permitter, and who is known as a super soul. So only Paramatma is Desmim Purusha Para, is transcendental to this world. The spirit soul is entangled in this world. We have all that experience. For the super soul to function as the controller of the material energy requires enormous potencies. The powers of Indra, etc. are insignificant compared with the potency of Paramatma. The conception of the spiritual world is not there. Now the understanding is there, is that there is not just consciousness that is impure, but here the understanding is that apart from contaminated consciousness, there is a supreme consciousness that oversees the material world. Krishna is interacting with the gopis. There is spiritual reciprocation between the object and subject, and that is not understood via yoga. The yogis perceive those whose end is not known by anyone. That is the Absolute Truth, and that is perceived by yoga through jnana, meditation. And the level of Bhagavan realization, at the level of Bhagavan realization, one focuses on the Absolute Truth as a transcendental personality with material and spiritual potencies. Bhagavan is only perceived by bhakti. Only by bhakti we can see the complete Satchitananda. Krishna is a supreme being having material and spiritual potencies. Spiritual potencies like the Ladini Shakti is a spiritual potency. It has two functions: to experience joy, and by Hladini, Krishna nourishes his devotees. So there is Satchitananda there. Hladini Shakti allows Krishna to reciprocate in love. Mother Yasoda, by Yoga Maya, is able to forget that Krishna is God. How can someone, being a courageous coward, it does not make sense. Maya disconnects us from Krishna, but Yoga Maya is a divine energy that increases yoga, increases the connection. It enables the devotee to feel greater and greater attraction for Krishna. So when the Lord covers his potency and then acts as a child, then the devotees can relish parental rasa, understanding how the Lord has spiritual energies and that spiritual activities are experienced within these spiritual energies. How can one forget that Krishna is God? Through illusion, but Yasoda Maya is under a Maya that increases yoga. She tells Krishna that stealing is bad. He will get a bad reputation and therefore I need to discipline him. This is Bhagavan realization that comes with bhakti. Now, here, the process how it leads to Bhagavan through bhakti. Bhagavan is the ultimate realization. So the elements, first the elements are the Lord's energies. Bhagavad Gita 7:4-7. Bhumirapanala Varakama Namudre Shankara Ityame Bina Bina Bhakti Ashtada Aparyam Tasmayam Bhakti Vidime Param, and so further. The material energy is not an independent reality. Often, this whole analysis is done with in a non-tasty context. Many scientists see material nature and see a connection with a supreme creator. Krishna takes the Sankhya framework and explains how it has to be seen in a theistic framework. In this way, the perception of the material energy can lead to bhakti. Our Jnana leads to Bhagavan. When a person becomes truly Jnanavan, he comes to understand Bhagavan. Then the person surrenders unto me. Vasudeva is the absolute truth. Such a Mahatma is extremely rare. The process of Jnana, in the process of Jnana, one sees the absolute truth as Brahman, but by the grace of the absolute truth, one understands that the source of Brahman is Krishna. Yeah. Bhanam Jnanam Te Jnanam Prapachate Vasyav Savamiti Samatma Sudurlabha. After many, many births, this Jnani comes to the realization that Vasudeva Krishna is the source of everything. So the Atmarams, they become attracted to Krishna. Atmarama Samunyo Nihada Apyokrami. And they perform pure devotional service. So, Atmaram verse from the Bhagavatam. All different varieties of Atmarams would take pleasure in Atma or spirit, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. So when there is a person who is fabulously wealthy, and one becomes attracted to that person. The example of Atmaram Munayo. Such persons have no attachment for this material world. Atmaram and Nirjanti. Still, they perform bhakti to Urukama, because the Supreme Lord must possess something that no one else possesses. That means what attracts them is not material. The jnanis, when they become attracted to the Lord, they become pure devotees. Like with the story of Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami, Krishna had to promise him, and while he was in the womb, that he would remain liberated when he came out of the womb. On that condition, after 16 years in the womb, Sukadev Goswami came out, and he ran immediately to the forest, and his father was running after him. He said, "My son," but he disappeared in the forest. But his father, Srila Vyasadeva, wanted him back into the ashram, and he made a plan. He asked disciples to chant, to go to the forest and recite different slokas of the Bhagavatam. That idea was that, like when you have a cage and you have a bird inside, and the bird is out of the cage, the canary bird. You want to have the bird back into the cage. What do? You put some seeds at the distance of the cage, and the first day the bird comes, takes the seeds and goes away. And then the second day you put it a little closer to the cage. And the bird comes, picks it up and goes away. And so you continue many days, and the last day you put the seeds into the cage. So the last day the bird goes into the cage eating the seeds, and you close it. And that was the idea, to get Sukadev back into the ashram. So they were disciples of Srila Vyasadeva, were reciting slokas from the 10th canto describing Krishna, like Tavakatamritam tapta jivanam kavrititam, and so on. And finally, every day they were reciting these slokas a little closer to the ashram. And finally they got them in the ashram, and then Srila Vyasadeva spoke the entire Bhagavatam to Sukadev Goswami. Of course, you have also the 4 Kumaras. They heard of Lord Narayan from their father. They were Brahmavadis. They had no bias agenda, but could not understand that Bhagavan was the absolute truth. But then because their conscience was pure, they were liberated. When they were smelling the aroma of the tulsi leaves offered to Lord Narayan at the gate of Vaikuntha, their mind changed, and at the spot they became devotees. It was described in the 3rd canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter 15, verse 43. Tasya ravinda naranasya padang ravinda kinchal kamishra tulasam makaranda vayam Antargata svavivarena sakaratesham sakso danaksa susamapisitta tambo. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of God had entered the nostrils of those sages, they experienced a change both in body and in mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal understanding. So this is the Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Pranam Jnanamante Jnanamam Prapachante Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samatma Sudorama. Similarly, the process of yoga, so this is an example of the process of jnana leading to bhakti, but similarly the process of yoga can lead to bhakti. In the process of yoga, one focuses on the supersoul. But then one can realize that the Supreme Person is a person that performs pastimes and is and that the supersoul is an expansion. So yes, this we learn from Bhagavad Gita. The Dhyana Yoga, Astanga Yoga, is described in the 6th chapter. And there you have 6:14. 6:14, just a moment. It's a little further. It's 6:29. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. That is how they come to Bhagavan realization. For one who sees me everywhere and sees me everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. And finally, Krishna says that Yoginam apasarvam ghatanata atmanam. Yeah. Yoginam apasarvam ghatanata atmanam. Pachtam pachteyo mam sami yukta tamo mataha yoginam api sarvasam yoginam api sarvasam matchatenantaratmana shadavam pachteyo mam sami yukta tamo mataha. Of all the yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself and renders loving service unto me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga. He is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So these verses are describing an evolution from Paramatma realization to Bhagavan realization. Although through Karma Yoga one can come to Bhakti, the process by one can come to the process of Karma Yoga is Jaghnarta Karmano Yatra Loko Yam Karma Bandha. That's the process of Karma Yoga. One becomes free from reactions, and then it raises one to the higher level, it raises one to Bhakti. If one rises higher to the pose of Bhakti. So Bhagavan is the ultimate realization. So Brahman is a subordinate reality. Brahmano I pratishtanam, Krishna says in 14:28. So there are various references that beyond the Brahman realization there is Bhagavan realization. When one is on the road at night and then suddenly exposed to light from a truck at the other side, then there's a blinding effect. So darkness blinds, but also light can blind. In the material world there is blindness due to darkness. But when one suddenly comes from the darkness to the light, then the light is so bright that one gets blinded. Because of the lights themselves one can see the Lord's effulgence is blinding. So this mantra is a prayer to the Absolute Truth, to take one beyond the blindness, caused by the brightness of the ultimate Bhagavan revelation. So he is the ultimate aspiration of all spiritual living beings. He is the last word in transcendence. So if you read the Birad Bhagavatamrita, written by Sanatana Goswami, Birad Bhagavatamrita has two stories. So one story is the story of Gop Kumar. Gop Kumar is traveling to the material world by chanting his Gopal mantra. He's going to higher and higher spheres in the material world. He becomes Indra, he becomes Brahma. Then finally he goes to the coverings of the universe and comes into the Brahman effulgence. And this is described very nicely in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, how he could, for a long time, he could only see light, he could not see anything else. So yes, it means for us in this material world there are two coverings why we cannot see Krishna directly. Is the material coverings and then the Brahman effulgence. So this is a prayer to the Lord to take away your Brahman effulgence that I can see you. So one must go to Brahman realization up to Bhagavan realization to see the Lord. This is the idea. And now we will go to mantra 16. See that the recording is paused. Mantra 15, oh, mantra 16 is here. Good. Mantra 16. Prayers to the Absolute Truth culminate in devotion service. This does the mantra overview, but we will first chant the mantra that Pushane Karshe Amasurya Pajapatya Priyarasrim Samuam Priyovate Rupam Kalyanatamam Vate Pashamiyo Sai Asapusha Soham Asmi. This is the Sanskrit and the translation. O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of the pure devotees, well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that they can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead, like unto the sun am I. So there's the word Rupam in this verse. That the Isha-Upanishad is at its close moving to a personal understanding of the Absolute Truth. Rupam is not metaphorical as the devotee wants to see that form. So the mantra is an example of Asintya Bheda in action. So there is a personal and an impersonal aspect at the same time. This is this Asintya Bheda. A personal and impersonal aspect of the Upanishad. If we want to honestly represent the Upanishad, then we have to see all what the Upanishads say, and not only the part that is in agreement with our philosophy. How can the two be reconciled? This can be reconciled, put together by Lord Chaitanya's Asintya Bheda philosophy. So Srila Prabhupada refers in the purport that this verse at the end refers to qualitative oneness. So we have here an overview of the verse. Vyahurasmin beyond Brahman is Bhagavan. Kalyanattamam. Bhagavan is the most auspicious realization. Bhushan, how the Lord maintains the devotees and everyone and everything else. Swamasmi, how the living entity is one yet different from the Lord. And then in last paragraph, the favor of the Lord sought by this prayer is fulfilled in pure devotional service. So the favor of the Lord is fulfilled in pure devotional service. First we have Yuva Rashmin, beyond Brahman is Bhagavan. So for Vaishnavas, the highest truth is Bhagavan, and the impersonalists have only a complete understanding and realization of the absolute truth. Impersonalists think that Brahman is higher than Bhagavan. That is not the conclusion of the scriptures. Bhagavad Gita 14.8 says, Brahmanoi Pratisthana. Krishna says, I am the foundation of Brahman. So if we compare the two, then the conception of impersonalism seems to be intellectually appealing. No form, no personality, oneness, but it strips the absolute truth of the personal qualities. The absolute truth loses all emotional appeal. That is why that even within impersonalism, many practice bhakti. But that, yes, devotional service, we will come to that, is Kalyamatama, is the highest and best destination. He helps devotees by bestowing his grace. So he is the supreme realization. Those who go to Brahman cannot be fully satisfied because there is no reciprocation. The heart's longing for love is completely satisfied. The Lord helps devotees by bestowing his grace. It enables devotees to make rapidly spiritual advancement. We have fallen in a well. We need a rope to get out of the well. We cannot make spiritual advancement with our own mental concoctions. The bhaktas hold onto the rope and beg the Lord, please pull me out. But the impersonalists hold onto the rope and try to climb the rope and not ask the Lord for help. It is possible, but difficult. Bhakti is easy. Sulabha Partha, Bhagavad Gita 8:14, I'm easily obtained. The person who obtains him, Mahatmas Tamam Pirta Devim Pragati Ashrita. So Krishna is referring to devotees here in 9:14 of Bhagavad Gita. Before in 7:19, Krishna said, Bhaunam Jnanam Ante, he referred to jnanis. So the process becomes difficult by the misconceptions of devotees. How does the mercy of the Lord come about? There is knowledge, there is taste and grace. Knowledge means we do not engage in sense gratification. Taste, it is not easy to rise to the spiritual level, not just calming down the mind and become detached. One must act on the spiritual level. If one wants to be happy, then one must act as a spirit soul, as a servant of Krishna on the spiritual level. Only then can we have experience on the spiritual level and get taste. So beyond knowledge and taste, there is mercy or grace. Just engaging in devotional service gives some taste. It can subside the miseries of material existence. By changing it will bring me to goodness. Even mechanical chanting brings one benefit. The Lord helps his devotees by bestowing his mercy. We get moments of realization, ecstasy, and we are being overflooded with happiness. So Jiva Goswami explains Bhagavan. Ba has two meanings. One who fully maintains, but it means also guardian. And Ga means guide, leader or creation. So here Jiva Goswami is give him a different explanation than the standard one. Bhagavan, the possessor of 8 opulences. But one who maintains them, who guides. So one who resides in. Everything resides in him. And at the same time he resides in everything because he enters as a super soul. So these are the two meanings on the screen here of Jiva Goswami. So, yeah. Samam, okay. Soham to dasoham. Oneness in quality may be emphasized at time, but that doesn't deny difference in quantity. So soham and to dasoham. Soham is a. You have soham and dasoham. This is the favorite quote of the Mayavadis, their Mahavakya. One has to move from the soham realization to the dasoham realization. So, the scripture explained that the Lord is infinite and we are finite. That means we are different in that regard. If one practices spiritual life to understand the highest truth, then one can rise to the platform of dasoham. The soham, that's the Mayavadis. Soham is a jnani realization. I'm Brahman. That's their Eureka moment. The Eureka moment is a brilliant realization and one forgets everything else. So that is an incomplete realization. Then jnana, that if favorable, jnana can be favorable or unfavorable to bhakti. Dus here. Yeah. That is what we will discuss now. Atma Jnana, Ishvara Jnana, Aiktava Jnana. Jnana can refer to 3 things here. Atma Jnana, Ishvara Jnana, Aiktava Jnana. Devotees reject Aiktava Jnana. They accept only Jnana that brings them closer to Krishna. So, why is Jnana practical to bhakti, or when is jnana practical to bhakti? That we will discuss this. It's unfavorable to bhakti. That one is that what is jnana, what is unfavorable to bhakti. One is that denies the eternality of bhakti. If one becomes one, then what is the use of serving? It becomes unnecessary. Then go to heaven is a better destination. For a devotee, to lose bhakti is a great disaster. Hardening the heart. In every single interaction, one starts to become detached, too critical. One focuses on one is not a body. The devotee is sick, the person says that the devotee is not a body. If someone is sick, then it is a person's responsibility to help to rise him from illness. For practicing bhakti, we must have a soft heart toward devotees. Not so this Jnana is hardening the heart. Merging, devotees do not want. That is the end of bhakti. That is why a devotee gives up the urge to merge. So then, this is jnana which is practical and favorable. But then there is jnana which is uncool to bhakti. That how can jnana be favorable or unable to bhakti? That, so when the soul is accepted as a part of Krishna, then it increases bhakti. Application of this principle, acting as a part and parcel of Krishna. Application of bhakti stabilizes the mind's restlessness. The goal of jnana in bhakti is the appreciation of the glories of the Lord. The Lord is wonderful, and I want to love him. Srila Prabhupada emphasized philosophical knowledge. He stressed that one must rise beyond the body conception. Dasam is a complete realization. The favor of the Lord is fulfilled in pure devotional service. The Lord can only be known to whom he favors. That if we go to the end of the purport, that as stated in the Katha Upanishad 1-23, the Lord can be known only by those whom he favors, and not by anyone else. Such special favors are bestowed upon his pure devotees only. Srila Upanishad thus points to the favor of the Lord, which is beyond the purview of the Brahmajyoti. So, the Brahmajyoti alone cannot bless anyone. One cannot fall in love with the sky, with the Brahmajyoti. We want love, and we get that love by the practice of bhakti. Now, in this verse, we conclude with discussing the point of how bhakti is the best process. How do we get the benefits of bhakti? Chanting is a prayer. Please engage us in chanting is a prayer. Please engage us in your service. But simultaneously we pray for purification. When Krishna manifests himself as the holy name and by chanting the names clearly, the chanting is a prayer and the fulfillment of the prayer. Lord Krishna dances on our tongue when we serve him. A girl in America said to Prabhupada, when I chant, I see light in my head. Srila Prabhupada said, continue chanting, it will go away. So we do not only pray to the Lord, but also receive the response of the Lord. Miracles should not be the criteria. These are no criteria for spiritual advancement. The chanting is serious purification. The mercy is engagement in devotional service. How you are protected by Maya. Generally it happens to Krishna's grace. He pulls us out of the well. We do not have to expect supernatural realization. We need a simple understanding. We perform devotional service, and then Lord Krishna will help me to advance in devotional service. When we render devotional service, we are accepting the mercy of the Lord. Yes. So, this was mantra 16. Any questions so far? Yes, Mother Harshita.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you
Recording
for the
in
class.
progress.
Maharaj, what is the meaning of Ektava Gyan?
Moment, I see back here that mantra 16. So Atma Gyan is knowledge of the soul. Ishvara Jnana is, the knowledge of Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. This is from the Durgama Sargamani Tika. That must see. Just a moment.
Also, Maharaj, this Durgama Sangamani Tika, is this the name of a book or the name of an acharya? This Durgama Sangami?
Yeah, it's a scripture. From Jnana, where these things are explained, but it's too long ago and I don't remember it. I think it comes from Hari Bhakti Vilas, there it's quoted that Aiktava Jnana. Yeah, Aiktava Jnana is insight into Brahman. Yeah, that's knowledge of Brahman. That is what it means. That,
Sorry.
yes, please.
So Maharaj, this knowledge of Brahman is subordinate to the knowledge of Ishvara. So is it like this? The arrows are given. So is it like in some ascending order or something? Because then Atma Gyan, then Ishwar Gyan should be the highest. No, so it should Ekatva Gyan should come before Ishwar Gyan if it's
Yeah,
like a ladder something. So
but the question is Jnana favorable to Bhakti? That that is Pratikula, Anukula. So this is not favorable to Bhakti. This Aiktava Jnana we don't want. I go further here, moment, because it's a long time ago I wrote this. That, so devotees reject Aiktava Jnana, only Jnana that brings them closer to Krishna. These arrows, they should not be there. The system has done that, but that's not correct. They should not be there. It's just a list from different kinds of Jnana. Atma Jnana is the knowledge of the soul. Ishvara Jnana is knowledge of the controller, Bhagavan. And Aiktava Jnana is knowledge of merging with Brahman. And this is not favorable, because the impersonalists, they think that Aiktava Jnana is the highest, higher than Bhagavan, or higher than knowledge of the soul. That the soul is God. Anyway, this is Mayavadi philosophy, and it's not favorable. That's the point. That is what it means. The Aiktava Jnana does not bring us closer to Krishna. It ends our devotional service. It's merging with the Supreme, because that's knowledge of merging with the Supreme. And therefore this Aiktava Jnana is rejected, because this kind of Jnana has an adverse effect. It's hardening the heart. It means, merging means the end of Bhakti. Anyway, forget this for your study, but I just put it between to show these impersonalists, they see this Aikta Vajnana as the highest. That and it is particle. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj.
So,
Maharaj, from the previous verse number 15,
yeah.
there was one slide in which it said that Gyan is Sankhya is knowledge of matter, and then Gyan of the Sat, and yoga of chit sat chit. So in that, yes ma'am. So gyan is absolute truth as potencies. Does Brahman, so does it signify both material and spiritual potency? Because whenever Prabhupada translates Sat Chit Anand, he says Sat means the eternality aspect, Chit means knowledge aspect, and Anand means bliss aspect. But here it's written potencies for Sat. What does this mean, and how does it relate to eternality? And in yoga, it is written absolute truth with only material potencies, which is Chit. But Chit is knowledge, as we read from Prabhupada's translation. So, how to understand these two things?
Yeah, first is the Jnanis, they see Brahman as the absolute truth, that the energy that moves everything. But they don't speak about the Saktiman, they speak only about the Sakti. For them, there is no Saktiman, there is no origin of the. So, and they cannot explain where Brahman comes from by that. But they see it as the potency that creates the material world, that does everything. So all the material potencies comes from Brahman, according to the. But Krishna says something different in Bhagavad Gita. Say Bhumirapanala Kam Mana Buddha Shankarityame Binapakatyasti. They are my separate material energies, Krishna said. They are my energies, the energies of Bhagavan. But they say it comes from Brahman. They see everything as potencies. Everything comes from Brahman. That, and the yogis, yeah, Sat Chit, but their Chit is their knowledge is restricted. It's not complete. They have knowledge of Paramatma in this material world. That they understand we are eternal, and they have the knowledge that beyond this material world, beyond these laws of nature, this Paramatma who controls everything. But their knowledge is incomplete because they don't know that Maya Dakshana Bhakti Shuti Chacharacharam, Krishna says, I have remote control, Krishna says, over the material energy. He is conducting the material energy, Krishna. And that they don't know. So it's only knowledge is restricted to this material world. And they have knowledge, they are a spirit soul, that's good. But they remain in this material world. Because to go out of the material world, you must have complete knowledge of the Bhagavan feature and develop devotion. And they don't have knowledge of devotion, which is also knowledge. That's the transcendental knowledge, is devotion. That is knowledge. But they don't have that. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, thank you. So Maharaj, what is the yogis like? The jnani's conception is this, that beyond this material world there is that Brahmajyoti light. They have some conception of what is beyond the material world. What is the yogi's conception of what is beyond the material world? They realize that Paramatma is beyond, but he is existing only within the material world. So what is their? Do they have what idea do they have of beyond this material world? What is after this material world?
Most yogis have the conception that beyond this material world there is Brahman and not the Bhagavan. They don't know about Bhagavan.
So they are also impersonalists only ultimately.
Ultimately, most of them want start the yogic process to merge with Brahman. Yes.
Oh,
But then what happens? They are practicing yoga, then they develop mystic power. That's 9 mystic powers. And if they become attracted, 8 of 9, and they become attracted to these mystic powers, they deviate. But if they are not interested in these mystic powers and they continue, their heart will become pure. And they will find Krishna in their heart. It's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that the object of meditation or the goal of the bona fide yogi is finding Paramatma in the heart. Krishna says that Chitatmana Prashantasma Paramatma Samahita 6-7, it's in the Bhagavad Gita. Then Shita Atmana, if one controls the mind and it becomes purified, one becomes Prasanatma, completely peaceful. After many lifetimes, the yogis come to that. And then Paramatma Samahita, they find the super soul in the heart, Paramatma. But even when they attain this perfection, Paramatma in the heart, most they want to merge with Brahman, but then they get this Paramatma realization. Then there are two options. That you have this Paramatma realization, and they want to merge with Brahman.
Recording stopped.
Krishna will help them to merge with Brahman. Because that's their desire. But the bona fide yogi, if they find the Supreme Lord in the heart, they think, what is the source of this Paramatma? And then when they understand that it is an expansion of Krishna, then they come to Bhakti. But that's very rare. So all yogis are not the same. Some yogis want to merge with Brahman. Some yogis have Paramatma realization and they become devotees. Some yogis, they have Paramatma realization and nothing happens. They remain in this world. because yes, that's good to know that Paramatma is the controller of everything. Still, you cannot get out of the material world. So you have different kinds, but the bona fide yogi, their destination is Paramatma Samahita, finding Paramatma in there. But that's only a step to Bhakti. Then they have to go to the next. So Arjuna says to Krishna, this yogi, I cannot do it, it's not practical. Srila Prabhupada writes, yeah, Arjuna could not do it. He's 1,000 times more qualified than all of us. So how can we do it? So and Krishna says at the end of Bhagavad Gita, just give it up. Go to Bhakti directly. Does that help?
very much, Maharaj.
Okay.
Maharaj,
Yeah.
if the yogis, even after realizing the Paramatma, how can they have a desire of merging into Brahman? Realizing the Paramatma means realizing that Krishna is in the heart. They have realized the form, like it's mentioned in Bhagavatam, that Paramatma is 6 inches, and like full description is given. Means they've realized the form. Then also they maintain the desire of merging into Brahman. How is it possible?
Yeah, that is possible. That Krishna, if their conception of the Absolute remains that they want to become one with God, Krishna will help them. Because that's what they want. So in devotion service we must, that's also an act of devotion, we should be very careful with what we desire in the heart. Because Krishna will fulfill our desires. We see that many times. Bali Maharaj wanted to become Indra. And Vamandev gave him the blessing. In the next Manvantar, you will become Indra, he said to him. Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted something better than what his father had. His father had the whole universe. So, yes, that Krishna gave him a spiritual planet in this material world. Because he desired that. So desire is important in devotional service. We need to desire the right thing. And therefore, knowledge of pure devotional service is very important. In Nectar of Devotion, pure devotional service is explained. If we are not acting according to the principles of pure devotional service, with our desires, we may be deviated. Yes. Does that help?
Maharaj, thank you so much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So there are two other raised hands. Mandaleshwar Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. No, please accept my humble please.
Accept my obeisance. Jai Prabhupada.
Maharaj, in this 15th mantra, it is written that metal covering and Brahma influences are two things are obstructing to see Krishna face, or can you? These are both are same, or if it is metal covering is only for devotees for metal covering and Paramatma is for Brahma Jyoti.
No, we are in a material world and we have these two coverings. The first covering is the covering of Maya, the modes of passion, ignorance, that we have to come first to goodness, to the Brahminical platform, to perform devotional service. Of course, when we chant Hare Krishna, we go up in the modes and gradually we will become purified to goodness. But that's the first covering. That's the modes of nature. We are controlled by the modes of nature and we must become free from the modes of nature. First covering to remove. But then the second covering, after getting liberation, you must to go beyond Brahman. So devotional service, Rupa Goswami says, in Nectar of Devotion is a stage from Shraddha to Prema. 9 stages. So we have the stage, Shraddha, you have faith, and then Sadhu Sangha, you accept the spiritual master, and you associate with devotees, and you learn the process of devotional service, bhajan, and then you start Bhajana Kriya, you start to perform devotional service, you are unsteady in the beginning, then you become steady, and then you give up your offenses, and then Anartha-nivritti, the purification of the heart, start to work. This purification is taking away the material covering. And after a long time you come to Nishtha, 30, 40 years performing devotional service, and up, you are liberated, Nishtha. But then, that's Brahman realization. Then you have to go beyond that. Then you have to become attracted to Krishna. That Ruchi, by hearing about Krishna and cultivating and chanting. And then Asakti, then you will realize Krishna is in your heart. You will see Krishna in your heart. That's Paramatma realization, but you have still to go beyond it. And then the beginning of love begins, bhava. And when it becomes more condensed, it becomes prema. And then in prema, you can see the Lord. Then you are beyond the covering of Brahman. So two coverings to go through. Does that help to understand this?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. One more
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Last, Varshita Mataji has asked one question. That you also mentioned that desire makes us to our next destination. What desire we are carrying, that only will make our next. But devotee, what devotee should ask, have a desire to reach Krishna, and what is the mood should be serve Krishna means while doing our activity or seva or doing chanting.
Yeah. I will try to explain it in a very simple way. We want to love Krishna. And we should desire pure love. Pure love means only pleasing the beloved and not asking something in return. That is pure love. That should be directed to Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya said, Na danam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitava, shri sikami, mama jana mishvama mishvai, bhakti bhavatit bhakti ahaitkitvayi. I do not desire beautiful women. I do not desire wealth. I do not desire any followers. I want to serve you life after life. So he does not want liberation also. He just wants to serve Krishna unconditionally. And then we just see what happens. Even no desire to go back to Godhead. We desire to go back to serving Krishna. And that is back to Godhead. That is included. And if we have that pure desire, then we will make advancement quickly. But devotional service, especially in the beginning, is striving to come to that point of pure desire. And as our heart becomes pure, our desires become more pure. Krishna consciousness is factually a change of desire, because that's the activity of the soul. So therefore that's important, yes, change desire. Good.
Thank you much.
Thank you. That's Anandita, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
accept my respectful obeisances, Maharaj.
Accept my obeisance, Prabhupada.
Maharaj, I have two questions. I can speak in one go because I cannot speak later. The two questions from the yesterday's class. One is that you mentioned about Rupa Goswami's example that no, you have given the example of Srila Prabhupada once when a Grasta devotee asked that what is my duty,
Yeah.
and three times he repeatedly said that you should, your wife should cook and go out and call others who are hungry, and then you should take prasadam. So, Maharaj, this is very beautiful reply, and you mentioned till now I just listened for the temple only, but you mentioned pointed out this point. Thank you for this. So, for a person like me, who is for whom it's not possible, so what can be done in these circumstances? This is the first question.
Yeah, so your first question, can you rephrase it? That about so I gave this example, and in your case, what's your situation?
My situation is that I cannot do any these type of seva freely because I'm the only practicing person in my family, and I cannot do these things. And whatever I do it secretly, right? So calling to the people, I mean, even feeding one person or two persons daily, it's not possible for me. So what should be my ideal duty? Like one thing that is coming into my mind is that if you can send few grocery or vegetables or fruits to the temple every month, is it fine? Or what are the other? How can this seva be done in some other way?
So, first, Krishna is in your heart. He knows your challenges. He knows them. He created them according to your karma. He knows them very well. So, Krishna knows your situation. In Nectar of Devotion, there are 64 items of devotional service, right? And yes, you try to practice them as much as you can in your situation without disturbing your family members. It's a challenge. It requires tolerance. It requires tolerance. It requires humility to do that. And Krishna sees that. Just do what you can do in your situation. It's glorious that you are trying to advance in devotional service even in such adverse situation. That Krishna will be very pleased. That would be my answer.
Okay, Maharaj. Yeah, sorry. Please continue.
You had the second question?
Yeah, Maharaj, I have a second question. You mentioned about His Holiness, His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj's thing, and that we should feed the poor, we should be compassionate. So, in that case, don't we incur the karmas?
Yeah, the point there is when you give charity, turn it into a spiritual activity. That, like in Vrindavan, in the afternoon they serve khichdi. All the pilgrims come, they sit down, but before they get the khichdi, they are chanting Hare Krishna at least 3 times. So it becomes a spiritual activity, and then they get the charity. So if you give charity, give them prasad, or give them a donation with a book, but turn it into preaching. Then you won't incur any karma. Therefore, we must be careful because we do food for life. If we do food for life without inspiring people that in spiritual life, without telling them that it's prasad, without letting them chant Hare Krishna, then it's not so effective. It will not please so much Prabhupada. It's not just some charity we do. We want to give them Krishna consciousness. And then there is no karma. You are preaching. That's a safety net. Is that okay, Mother Anandita?
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. This is a very good point that you have pointed out. But my consideration is only also if you have to serve it to for some in kind for education or for medical help or for some of the marriages like that. In that case, what should we do?
You mean serving managers? I don't get the point. But can you clarify this?
I mean to say, what if I have to serve in some other ways, like to cover the medical expenses, or for the education, or for the marriages, like that.
Okay, yeah. In that way, that Yeah, that then at least do it to serve Krishna in their hearts. Do it with the consciousness that you are serving Krishna in their hearts. That as a service to Krishna. The Arispartan Parsis is in their heart. You do it as a service to Paramatma, to Krishna. But do it in a Krishna conscious, do it in Krishna consciousness. Of course, here are different situations. But best is to give, you have different options. The best is to give them charity together with Krishna consciousness. If that is not possible, then do it as a service to Paramatma in their heart. Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj. I will keep this in my mind. Thank you so much.
Okay, good. Then we will continue tomorrow with the last two mantras. Tomorrow, from just before the class, I have a meeting with the Sannyas Ministry. I may be a few minutes late, but I'll come online at your time, 7:30. So be patient, I'll be there tomorrow. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Bol.